Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Love of Creatives podcast. I am your host, Dwight. I'm joined by our host, Maddox. We're the connections and community guys. And today, our featured guest is the wonderful Keke Brooks. Welcome, Keke.
Hi, I am grateful to be here.
We're so glad you could join us.
Yes, lovely to have you, Kiki.
Yes, a
Uh,
pleasure.
I was really happy to have run into you at an event at a local club, the Tower Club. It was a wonderful evening. Everyone was dressed in their finest 1920s apparel. And I was really struck by how we had a conversation about a lot of the things that you're doing. I've had a chance to see some of the singing that you've posted online that is fabulous. And I know that I could never do you justice as far as an introduction. What would you like to share about who you are and what you're about for our listeners?
Yeah, so again, it's a pleasure to be here, Dwight and Maddox. And I'm like, this was a really great night, the night that we met, Dwight, because one of the things that I was sharing is that as a creative, I've been a creative ever since I was a little girl. So singing, dancing, acting has been a healing wellspring for me as it relates to having social anxiety. And so, having social anxiety, being a creative, a musical theater major, and also in psychology, I'm also in school for clinical psychology, has been working together as far as in helping me to heal and overcome in a creative way, and it has helped me to also help heal others in their right by sharing my story.
Thank you for sharing that. And lots of different points that you hit on there. And I've just got to applaud you for being so open and vulnerable because I know a lot of people have uh, just because of the nature of everything always having to be rosy, um, they kind of hide those things that are difficult struggles that maybe more of us have than we know because we just don't talk about them.
We
So
talk
Yeah,
about them here.
that's right.
yes. Yeah. So for me, I know that sharing my story is a way that I'm overcoming, but it's also a way where I'm able to connect with others and enjoy seeing their eyes brighten when I say that I'm overcoming social anxiety and hearing them say, "Oh my gosh, me too." And that's the beauty in it because it's allowing me to see that we're not alone in our various journeys and that we're all resilient in one way, that we're all in some kind of way as creatives turning our pain into our passion.
Beautifully said, Kiki. I love that. Turning our pain into passion.
Yeah,
That's certainly true in my life.
yeah.
So you said that you have been engaged in performing ever since you were a little girl. I'm really curious, like what are your earliest memories of performing?
Yeah, so my mom would always get me to sing in front of others. I'm also a church girl, and I was not fond of hearing that, growing up because I always felt like I was different from what I was seeing, and there were certain things that I didn't agree with, and there were times that I didn't feel like they were loving people well. And so it was one of those things where I had to overcome like feeling different, but also trying to fit the standard, knowing that the standard was never how I wanted to be. But it also allowed me to say, okay, well, if I, you know, want to love others well, even when I want to be unapologetically myself? How can I exude that and have a blend of spirituality, the things that I was called and created to do and be, and also look and be authentically myself? And so, I have all of that combined, and that was something that I learned how to heal through by performing. And so it once became something that I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, to being able to really sing and perform in ways where it touched the hearts of people.
And that is beautiful. I know that as gay men, Maddox and I can really identify with what it is to uh, be forced into fitting into a box to make others comfortable. And yeah, that is, I'm sure a lot of our listeners can identify with similar pain and, just trying to fit someone else's vision for them. So you really turned that what was a struggle into a strength. Because I mean, I'm just blown away. Um, it doesn't take long looking through what you have posted online. You are quite the performer. I mean, your stuff is uplifting and just great, high energy, wonderful. I mean, you sing like an angel.
Kiki,
Yeah,
I'm sensing that you are a person who has done a fair amount of inner work just by your words. Am I accurate?
absolutely, absolutely. I have gone through, just like many that don't want to be placed in a box, have gone through so much trauma from, being told that you should and shouldn't do this and be this, or seeing the light that you carry and becoming envious of it, or seeing that, there is something different and special about you, but others, because they don't want to be unapologetically themselves, have allowed people to dictate who they should and be. And so one of the things that I've learned from even overcoming trauma and abusive relationships and having to advocate for others is that, okay, in order for me to advocate for others, then I have to first advocate for myself. And what does that look like? That looks like doing shadow working, meaning really dealing with those wounds from childhood up until how we carry that into adulthood. If we really don't face it, if we really don't do the inner work that you are talking about, Maddox, to even be able to speak from a place of authenticity, to speak from a place of experience, to speak from a place of resilience, and to say that, hey, I am still afraid, but I'm doing it anyway. I am still dealing with wounds of my past, but I am resilient because I'm still able to say I'm strong and I'm still overcoming at the same time. And that works hand in hand. So that's a daily practice for me. I'm doing mirror work, I'm journaling, I'm using my creative outlets. And I'm also sharing that for free on how this is what the result of that looks like.
So, Kiki, that challenge you're talking about, that struggle to just be who you really are in a world where people are trying to tell you who you should be, in your opinion, do you think that is more common or amplified as a creative than it would be for a person who's not pursuing creativity? Do you think there's an added layer to that? Because oftentimes maybe people think that there's, what I hear the most is creatives just always say that people have told them all their lives, get a real job. Like creative endeavors are not considered a real job. Have you experienced that? And if so, do you think that in and of itself makes it a little harder for us as creatives than your average human being?
Yes and no, because one thing that I've learned is I used to think that creatives struggled with it the most, and that's how we express. We do the art of expression by putting our traumas, the things that we have gone through, the box that people try to put us in, into our creativity, and that's really our all of our healing well springs. But then I started branching out of my creative community and I started just listening to people in general. And I started realizing that, oh, okay, most people, the most judgmental people are the ones that are struggling the most. And they're really struggling the most with their identity. So, what do? They judge others, they criticize others, they spew out hate because they're dealing with their identity in an unhealthy manner, as far as in not using what their gifts and talents are, just like all of us, to allow that to be a healing wellspring to help heal others. So I've heard it on both ends, but one thing that I've learned is that if we're not as a creative, or even if you're in another field, if you are not investing that time in yourself, back to that inner work and what you are called to do, whether it is a creative outlet or another outlet, then you will see that in their actions and the things that they say.
Mm, I like the way you see that. I like your perspective. Very
Yeah,
nice. And there's somewhere in there you kind of described that the bullied becomes the bully.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, absolutely. Because they did not have, or do not have, an outlet of a community or people where they felt safe. And because they did not feel safe, then they adopted what was pretty much exhibited to them. And so they saw that, oh, okay, if I become the bully, that's when I feel respected. Or if I put people in a fear like state, that's when I'm seen, and that's an unhealthy way of moving in the world. But they found out, like, if I become the bully, then that's how I equate respect. But in reality, I do not want to, as a human, apart from being a creative, I do not want to put fear in people's hearts to gain their respect. I I desire respect because I respect myself. And the way that I respect myself is the way that I desire to be respected from others, and the way that I will respect the way that you look at respect. But one thing that I've just learned is that the bully becomes the bully because they feel unheard, they was misunderstood. And so I have a level of compassion for them even when it pains me, because I know that that's coming from a broken place.
When we feel powerless, we will do anything we can to just grasp onto the tiniest shred of power. And being a bully gives them a sense of power, even if it is a false sense of power. Wow.
That's good. Yeah.
yeah. That's an incredible life lesson, and uh, I know that many will probably could live their whole lives and never make that realization.
Well,
It's
and that respect that they are trying to get by bullying is not real respect. It's a false sense of respect because if you are respecting them because you have to, because there's consequences, that's not real respect.
No, that's fear. That's fear, and that's a disingenuous way of gaining someone's respect. I do believe that there is a beautiful way that you can reverence people when it comes with, you know, admiration of, wow, this is a true gift of theirs. And I admire that because you cannot find that in anyone else. versus, as you mentioned, Maddox, I am just trying to dominate and gain power over people because this is truly coming from a broken place of trauma, a broken place of being misunderstood, unheard, being oppressed in a sense as well. But because those healthy ways of being acknowledged or being seen or being heard did not happen for me, so now I must infiltrate that same pain into others. And that breaks my heart because I'm just like, but if they were able to just see themselves apart from the validation that they were yearning from people that were struggling themselves, then they would be able to see the beauty in others, even if you don't agree with how they talk, how they walk, their lifestyle. And so I think that that's a valuable lesson to be learned from all perspectives.
I have come to believe for many years now and experienced it firsthand in my own life that true power can only be found by empowering others.
Mm.
There's a false sense of power we see all over our world where it's about take control, and that's not real power. It's always a false sense of power, and it always comes to an end sooner or later. But true power is forever, and it's our ability to empower another human being.
That is so good, Maddox. I knew that that was the reason why I met Dwight. That's the reason why I'm meeting you, Maddox. It's the reason why I'm able to speak and talk and listen to the heart of people that look like me, don't look like me, because I know that we are all the same, but all different at the same time. And we all bring something to the table where we can help encourage others, uplift each other, even from a perspective of nonverbal communication. Say, I see you, because I know that I had to do some work to be seen, but I had to make sure that I saw myself before I was able to see you, Maddox, or before I was able to see you, Dwight, because it also comes from a place of me turning my pain into my power and then allowing my power to empower others. And it came from a story, it came from a story where I can relate and say, oh my gosh, you know what? I didn't fit the standard. I was a preacher's kid, had a child out of wedlock, had sex before marriage, went into an abusive relationship, was bullied before because of my gift, advocated for others that were bullied, got beat up because of, trying to defend others, got, pretty privileged, thrown into like the fire because of just being pretty, or just being an African American. So, or being a single mom. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, I can relate because I'm different. I'm weird. I'm unique. I am not fitting into a mold of what people are trying to put me in. Hey, I hear you, but at the same time, I'm like, is that the way that I feel about myself? Are you putting value into me on a daily where what your words say holds any kind of merit of how I feel about myself or the people that truly love me have said about me? And so that's what allows me to continue to keep doing it afraid and showing up for myself every single day to say, you know what? I'm still doing it and you can do it too.
You are speaking our language, Keke. So much of
Yeah.
what you're saying is sounds so much like conversations that we have in our household on a day in, day out basis.
Yeah.
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 It sounds like the kind of thing that we would hope would come out of people attending one of our events, one of our experience events.
Okay. Yeah. I have to definitely attend because I love even having friends that would people wouldn't typically match me with and be like, oh no, that's my buddy Dwight. Yeah, that's my buddy Maddox. Oh yeah, that person right there. We support each other in this way. And I love to see how people look because I'm like, oh, right. I didn't fit your box, your standard of what you thought or what your perception of me was, or the way that you view love. Because I know that the way that I view love is patient, love is kind, love is not boastful. Love does not keep a record of wrongs. Love does not judge others or is envious of the light that others carry. Love just shows up authentically and open and say, listen, at the end of the day, I just love you because you're a human being. That's it.
Yep,
Like, that's it.
absolutely.
And
Couldn't have
how
said
can
it better
we
myself.
and what can we do together to make this world be a counter cultural world?
That's the conversation we have almost daily and work so hard to bring that into everything we do. How do we set it up where people naturally just gravitate in a loving way towards each other with kindness and respect? Kiki, let's dive a little bit more into your creative journey. We want to hear more about what it's all about and what makes your heart sing and how do you do it and how do you get through the hard times? Anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on just the journey of my past, even into the present. And as a child, I was a preacher's kid that just never felt like I fit in because I didn't agree with the rules and the dictatorship. I also advocated for others because I have a differently able brother, and so that was another means to advocate because here I was, people trying to put me in a box of popularity. And I'm like, well, if you are going to deem me as popular, then popular is going to look like embracing others that don't look like a jock or a cheerleader or the the best of what you view. The popularity is going to look like, oh, you are going to see me talking to a differently able person like I would talk to someone else. And I don't even like to use normal because I'm like, what's normal?
What's normal?
What's normal? But I'm like, you are going to see me engage in and talk to others that don't look like me or may look the same. Because again, like I stated before, we're more alike than different. And I love to hear the intellect of others. And that's what inspires me because I'm just like, oh wow, that causes me to think differently. That takes me out of the box of just having a rigid way of thinking, but it expands my mind of creativity where I'm like, okay, I can sing to this audience because this audience is able to relate to, oh, okay, they've experienced social anxiety in a different way. I also have ADHD and I'm able to you know, learn people even when I forget their names or even when my ADHD kicks in and I'm forgetting certain things, but I touch on certain things that stands out about someone and I'm like, this is how I will remember them even when I don't remember their name. And one thing I remembered about Dwight is that he had this calm confidence and he was very articulate and he was very present. And I was like, you know what, Dwight? I would love to be on your podcast because you are authentic. You're not trying to sell me something, but I really feel the authenticity in your heart. I really feel the authenticity of your resilience as a gay man, as a gay African American. It seems like you're mixed. I don't know, but I'm like, I'm just feeling so many things from our encounter right now, and it's authentic. And I I like to show up in ways that I'm picking up authenticity from people. Like I looked through and did my research on the both of you, and I'm like, they are genuine, they are kind, they are intellects, they are creatives, and they are attracting that. And I want to be a part of that. And so that's all working together. My mental health, my creativity in the arts, because I'm a musical theater major as well. And then also being able to relate and check off so many boxes is why I'm here.
Thank
That's
you.
that's really incredible. And I can't tell you that it's such a gift, so affirming for you to share what you've said about us. Um, Along those lines, I'm really curious as to what the biggest thing that you've embarked on in your journey to creativity.
I love the fact that through my creativity, people can truly feel my heart. And it's not something that is just performance, although I'm a great performer, but it's the impact that I've made on others because of the work that I'm doing from within. And it came from showing up and not saying that I'm this perfect human being, but that I have so many challenges that I'm overcoming. And this is how I still continue to persevere in spite of. And that is throughout my singing, my acting. And there's a reason that you're feeling something that goes beyond, oh, okay, she's just a great performer. No, I'm feeling something else that I can't put my finger on. And that is because I'm like, I'm able to feel your pain too. I'm able to say that I see you because I see me. I'm able to say I hear you because I had to make sure that although your praise is a bonus, I'm like, no, Kiki, how do you feel today? How do you feel about yourself? What affirmations are you speaking to yourself daily so that when people hear your voice, they know that there's something in her that I see in me? And that's how I want to continue to empower others through my creativity.
I love that. Is there anything that is on the horizon? Anything that would be a milestone achievement that you're working toward?
Yeah, so I'm working on a number of projects, but you have to follow me to really stay tuned because I love keeping the adrenaline rush in the mystery of me. So I am honing in on everything that I've mentioned. And so that is my singing, that is the field of psychology, that is the field of advocacy, that is in the field of spirituality, that is in the field of continuing to create an environment where I am overcoming, and that's the social anxiety, that's the ADHD, that is the therapy that I'm doing so that I can heal, continue to heal, and help heal others. So you have to follow me and stay tuned because I may pop in one day and pop out, but stay tuned.
So you've mentioned the psychology study. Is that for your own value and benefit, or is there a plan to become a therapist?
It's for my own value and benefit first and foremost. So that is the reason that I first joined. I actually wanted to be in the field of psychology and mental health ever since I was a little girl. And so I also wanted to be an artist. And I'm like, which one do I pursue first? And so I pursued artistry first and then had to take a break in life and deal with life things, and now I'm back. But what brought me back was wanting to overcome my ADHD, wanting to overcome social anxiety, and wanted to attract like-minded and like-minded, LIGHT, like-minded beings. And so I went back to school for that, but then I'm all for people. And so it also was the caveat in wanting to also be help others as well. And so I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with having this degree in clinical psychology, but I know that I want to find holistic ways and also, if needed, medicinal ways to help heal others in their way of traumas and resiliency.
Well, there is definitely an intersection of art and therapy.
It is, it is.
There are options, absolutely, where you could have
Yeah,
it all. Do
you
both.
sure can. You sure can. And that was the choice of not allowing anyone to put me in a box.
I love that. And as you were talking about light-minded individuals, I could not help but think about how I think it's another way of saying how we like to work with heart-centered individuals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we know that it's coming from our own resiliency.
Mhm.
It's coming from the things that we are still overcoming and advocating for ourselves and others for. And so it's one of those things that we can distinctively and intuitively feel from others when they are aligning on the same path that we are in, even if we're called to do various things. But one thing that I love when we're all in alignment is that it just flows, it flows, and it's that those divine timings where we know that, oh, okay, even though we're on a mission, like this wasn't by coincidence or happenstance that we saw this thing, we met this person, or we're doing this thing, because we are all in alignment of, oh, okay, we were chosen to turn this pain into our passion. So I know it wasn't by happenstance that we're here today, Dwight and Maddox. I'm just grateful with a heart of gratitude.
I agree. I think things unfold in a very magical and mystical way that oftentimes we can't quite see or don't understand. So I'd love to know, Kiki, how has in all of your creative journey, the singing, the dancing, the performing, theater, all of the things that you have done and experienced, how has or how does community play a role in that, or does it? We talk to artists that are very solo and they're not part of a creatives or art community or a singing or musical community. Speak to that for us. Tell us a little bit about that intersection in your personal journey.
Sure. Yeah. So, social anxiety, ADHD, introvert. So I love spending a lot of time alone. It is when I'm the most creative. It is when I'm the most productive. It is when I'm able to reflect in times of introspection to learn a lot about myself and others. But I think that there's so much power in the collaboration with community because it helps us to be better than what we can do by ourselves. It helps us to gain insight on how we can show up better for ourselves so that we may be able to be more impactful and more influential to other people. And that's by hearing others' perspectives. That's by hearing the hearts of other people in ways that we can show up for others. And I think that we can only multiply in numbers to push a movement forward, to push our creativity forward. And man, when we all come together and we have one mind, but also have different things that we can contribute and bring to this one big mission, I think that that's what allows our light to shine even brighter than it could if we were trying to shine alone. And so I think that community plays a pivotal role in our success because it allows us to expand beyond our horizon, and it allows us to know how we can be most effective for our communities, outside of our communities, and really be countercultural, as we mentioned before, to a dying world, a hurting world. But in that dying and hurting world, there's still that beauty that comes from ashes that we can allow people to see from the connections that we form in community.
Mm, very well said. We're very, very pro community because we believe that we're just better together.
Yes, we
I,
are.
I'm never an advocate of saying that you need to do every ounce of your creativity with others and in community, because there are some people and certainly some forms of creativity that are best done in solitude. But I don't think that means that we have to do our whole creative journey and life in solitude. I think you can go off and write that essay in quiet solitude, but maybe in the conversations that you have in community, you gain all kinds of ideas and great feedback about what it is you are writing. I've come to believe that when we are siloed with no community, we are surviving. And when
Mm,
we are steeped in and involved in community, we are thriving. There may be occasional exceptions, but for the most part, not so much. I think
yeah.
it's either survive or thrive. It's either, solitude, oh, not solitude, but isolation or community.
Mm, yeah. And I love that you pointed out isolation and solitude, right? And knowing that the dichotomy of that is that solitude is that the healthy aspect of being alone. It is the time that you can reflect in introspection and glean from ideas from people that has made an impact in your life, but it also adds value to the gifts that was already embedded in you. And that's where that solitude comes from. That's where those ideas and those juices will start to flow. But then once you come out of solitude, that is when that you can join together with other like and like-minded individuals to be able to grow, to be able to be a better you. But then there's that isolation that you mentioned, Maddox, where you're in survival mode in an unhealthy way, where you think that I don't trust anybody, I don't need anybody. And we know that that comes from a broken place. We know that that comes from an egotistical place, that comes from a place where, okay, there are people that may have proven to be untrustworthy, but then there are ways that you may have not shown up for yourself, and how can you understand your growth areas or ways that you have grown if you don't put yourself back out there? So, like you stated, Maddox, there's so much power in community and solitude, versus isolation and trying
Yes,
to survive.
yes. I think in the appropriate amounts, solitude is very, very healthy. And for introverts and even ambiverts, it is the primary way we charge our battery. I'm an ambivert. Um, but I think there's no such thing as healthy isolation. Isolation is it's an unhealthy thing. Um, and we are experiencing a global epidemic right now of isolation that we have basically brought on ourselves. And people are so distracted, they're largely oblivious to it.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that I had to challenge myself with is because I honestly came out of a state of isolation. At first, it turned into solitude. But if you're not careful, if you're not mindful, it can turn into unhealthy isolation. And it came from, you know, going through so many transitions where it was unbearable, and just seeing where, the more you heal, the more you come out of the state of people pleasing, you know, that can also change the dynamic of relationships that you thought you needed. But then as you continue to grow and learn more about yourself and heal your inner child of where it stemmed from, then you go into this survival mode of feeling like no one's there for you. And I have to do this because no one's coming to rescue you. But then I had to realize, like, okay, wait a minute, how do I feel these feels? How do I go through these wounds and feel the pressures and the pain of that? But then how do I come out of that and heal, but still be healthy again, even when the full dynamic of what I'm manifesting and desire is not fully here? And so that's when it gradually came out of the isolation mode that I was in when we come into that victim mentality. I was a victim, so I don't want to shame victimization because I was a victim of abuse. But then I'm like, okay, how do I come out of this pity party of regret, or what I should have done, or what I shouldn't have done, or what I should have known, and extend myself that compassion and that grace? Because if I don't do that, then I won't have a heart to do that for others, and come out of the mode of that. And how do I heal in a healthy way? And so it started with the groundwork of getting back to what I love, being a creative, singing, dancing, sharing what I'm learning with others, and then bringing that to a community where I'm like, you know what? This is how I did the groundwork of saying, listen, I was in isolation too. I went through betrayals. I went through transitions. I went through hate. I went through prejudices. I went through all of those things. And I still face some of those things. And I still have uncertainty about other things. But this is what I'm doing. I'm singing still. I'm dancing. I'm back in school, for clinical psychology, so I can continue to heal and be healthy, so I can help others. But I'm also learning and listening to other people's journeys, and knowing that, oh my gosh, this is aligning. Because I'm like, if I didn't step outside of isolation, I wouldn't have been able to hear their story. They wouldn't have been able to hear mine. They wouldn't be able to look at me and be like, oh my gosh, you went through that? And I'm like, yes. And I'm still overcoming, and I'm still rising like a phoenix. But I'm still uncertain about things, but I'm still doing the work. And so I'm grateful to be here, because I'm like, I'm an introvert. I have ADHD. I'm now back a single mom. I am still overcoming traumas. I'm still healing, because healing is not a destination, it's a journey. And
Yes.
I'm still thriving.
Yes. You talked about coming out of isolation. For me, one of the most effective ways that I've discovered to come out of isolation. Isolation is very much about, it's all about me.
Yeah.
We're so in our own head and our own experience and what we're going through that we can't see the proverbial trees for the forest. And
Yes.
I find that one of the ways that snaps me out of that is to just merely be of service to others. Take the focus off of me, look out among my circle of people and friends and acquaintances and find somebody that needs a little bit of support, and just being of service to them. And it puts things back in perspective in a
Yeah.
magical way.
Yeah. It's beautiful, Maddox, because I really had an experience like that yesterday. I was in a rehearsal, and I just reached out to someone and walked up to them, and I told them that they were doing a great job. And I really shared with them the things that I observed and noticed about them. And so I put some tangible things on, not just great job. Here are the reasons why you are doing a great job. That I see you. And their eyes brightened up as if they hadn't heard such a thing in a really long time. And it brought it brought joy to my heart because I saw that their eyes watered up and I'm like, I just made an observation and I wanted to make an acknowledgement of you are making a huge impact to the sound of what is to bring everything into light on that performance date. But I realized, oh my goodness, just to show someone that they are seen and that they are heard, and these are the ways that they are making an impact, is something that goes profoundly a long way with others. And that's stepping outside of yourself, Maddox, as you mentioned, of saying that, okay, I put the mask on myself and I'm good. But how do I overflow that beauty, that love, that resiliency, that you're seen, you're loved, you're heard, you're understood by going outside of the frame of me and saying, I see you too. And
You're,
so go ahead,
oh,
Max.
you're describing largely why we host this podcast. You know,
Yes.
there was a point in my journey where I realized that every human being has an innate need to be seen and heard. And this platform is about giving creatives a voice, giving them a safe place where they can be seen and be heard. And we hope our hope is that it is an incredible gift. That's what our desire and hope is.
Yeah.
Dwight, you had something you wanted to say?
Yeah. I just want to say that as you're sharing what it is that you've had to overcome, I know without a doubt that there will be others who will listen, who will have a strong sense they'll be at a different point in their journey than you are. But just from you sharing your story, it's going to give them hope that they can see the other side of it.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Dwight, that's the biggest thing is that I hope that my story gives them hope, but I believe that what you and Maddox are bringing to the table is already giving creatives hope because many a times what I've learned by just listening to others' stories is that their creativity has given them hope where their words can't really speak because oftentimes they have felt shunned out or judged because of who they are or mistreated because of the lifestyle that they have chosen. So I know that this podcast alone will give people hope. But of course, I want the hope that is coming from within to give hope to others because I'm like, that doesn't mean that I've arrived, but I know that I'm thriving and I know that hope comes with faith. And that's what I know that goes hand in hand. It's really knowing that even though I can't put my hand on it right now, I have hope that it's coming. I have hope that the minor steps that I'm doing right now is adding value to the bigger picture, but that comes with the daily things that I'm choosing. And most of the times that's a mindset versus the tangible things that I can hold on to and say, oh, this is what makes me happy. Because I realize that you can be on the top of the mountain one day, and then the next minute life will happen, and it still challenges you to say, do you still have that hope, even when you lose some things or you lose some people, or, what you put all of your identity in is not coming with you in the next season. And so that's really what this season has given me is hope because I have gone through challenges that have caused me to start all the way over. And when I say that, I'm like going through a divorce. I have a 19-year-old son that's going through some challenges because trying to embrace this identity of if I really show people who I really am, will they really accept me? Talking to other young adults where they're like, this is who I am. But if I bring myself fully to the table, hate will come my way. I won't have the friends that I have. I won't have the support that I have. And I'm like, man, that truly breaks my heart because honestly, having a heart of bravery to be yourself unapologetically comes with persecutions. It comes with people not accepting you for who you truly are, but do you accept you? And when you accept you for who you truly are, other like-minded and light-minded beings you will attract.
Beautiful. Kiki, you certainly demonstrate wisdom beyond your years. And I just want to say bravo for that. We are starting to run a little short on time. And so Mr. Dwight is going to deliver what we call rapid fire questions for rapid fire answers. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. So the first question, what's your favorite part of the creative process?
Healing, thriving, and being unapologetically me.
Beautifully said.
We said yes.
Our next question is, how do you define a creative community?
People that are weird, people that are vulnerable, people that do not take life so seriously, and people that are showing up authentically themselves.
I love
Well
it.
said.
You're describing
Woo-hoo.
our people.
You are.
Now, our final rapid fire question is, if your creativity had a theme song, what would it be?
Ooh, I have to steal this one from Alicia Keys, but this girl is on fire. Girl is on fire. Yes.
Love
Wow.
it.
Thank you for gracing us with that. That's awesome. Kiki, this has been just amazing, and we're ever so honored and grateful that you came to share your story and your wisdom with us and our listeners.
Absolutely. Such a pleasure, such a joy to be on a thriving podcast. Thanks, Maddox and Dwight.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Kiki.